Holiday deflects it. Doncic has to throw it. White with the steal. Holiday to Horford. Holiday a three. Bang! Jrue Holiday from downtown. Lead back up to 11.
If the NBA Finals had ended on Sunday night, my vote for MVP would have gone to Jrue Holiday, who has continued this season to prove what I have long said, and that is that he is only a role player if you define his role as anything his team needs on a given night to win. Let us count the ways he is doing that in this series alone. Holiday led the way in Game 2 with 26 points on 11 of 14 shooting, with 11 rebounds and 0 turnovers. In so doing, he became the first guard with 25 points, 10 boards on 75% shooting in any finals game in the entire shot clock era. Michael never did that. Magic never did it. Not Kobe, not Jerry West, Jrue Holiday. For this series, he has 38 points and 0 turnovers. Only Michael Jordan ever had more in the first 2 games of any finals without turning it over. In fact, for the entire playoffs, Holiday is 51% from the floor, 40% from 3, and 95% from the line. He is on pace to post the first 50, 40, 95 postseason ever. But wait, there's more. Holiday has also dominated his matchup against Kyrie Irving on the other end of the floor. Kyrie averaged 27 against Minnesota's #1 defense in the West Final. Against Holiday, he has scored 6 points on 8 shots. He has taken the 3rd most shots of anyone in this series and scored the 8th most points. But that is nothing new for Holiday, who has been all defense 4 straight years. By the way, when he won the title with Milwaukee, he had the best plus-minus in the finals, as he does again now. So, on this, his 34th birthday, here is a salute to Jrue Holiday. If that guy is a role player, he is the best one the league has seen in a very long time. That's what I think. CJ McCollum, what do you think?
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Way to give him his flowers. Clap it up for Jrue.
Right. Also, happy birthday, Jrue. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
The guy's
Jrue.
just so freaking good, and he never gets any credit. And when Boston signed him, like, who would have thought? I know Dame is your guy, and he's a great player. I'm not even suggesting Jrue Holiday is better than him. But when Milwaukee got Dame and Boston got Jrue, who would have thought it would be that move would wind up being the one that propelled the Celtics to the finals?
That was the final piece that they needed. You talk about role player. You talk about his ability to do any and everything on a given night. How many players in the league do you know that can get 26, 10 on 75%, hit big threes? Oh, by the way, go guard the best player on the other team, completely take him out of the game. Go guard the second best player.
What's it like when he's guarding you?
It's a nightmare. He talked about what it's like to guard Kyrie and Luka. He said pray, and then he wore a shirt that said prayed for it. And then he went and locked him up. He's strong, he's sturdy, he has great lateral quickness, he's disciplined, he doesn't jump for ball fakes. And I think the cool part about him is that he's a humble beast, right? Like, he'll lock you up and not really talk trash. He'll get stops, make big shots, and I think he has respect from all of the league, and the players respect him. That's why you don't hear us talking about how he's underrated, because we know what he's about, we know he's good, and we know how much he's getting paid too.
What do you think, Drea?
The discipline defensively, like to have that much impact, but it's not from lunging, it's not from getting out of position, it's not from fouling, it's not from being overly physical, it's from being in the right place at the right time, from moving your feet, from anticipating. He is so solid on defense, and his effort is consistent on that end of the floor. That's the part that stands out to me defensively. Offensively, does he ever look sped up? He always looks like he's playing at his pace. He always looks under control, especially in this series. In that last game, every move he makes, hesitation, crossover, okay, now this defender comes. It's just so under control and so intentional. He's incredible. You can tell he's a great leader. He brings a ton of experience, and he's solid. It would be so full circle for him to already, he's had it, but to have this big of an impact in this NBA Finals run after Milwaukee let him go. What a beautiful moment for Jrue Holiday.
So, Windman, if I'm suggesting I think he's the most underappreciated, genuine star in the NBA, are you buying what I'm selling?
He's also a rock-solid member in the locker room and an absolute asset to any community he's played in. He's still involved in the communities in New Orleans and in Milwaukee, where he no longer plays anymore. And that's one of the reasons why Boston gave him a $135 million extension in April. And here's something else. He was an all-star last year. He arguably had the best season of his career offensively last year for the Bucks, which is one of the reasons why Boston was just so crazy to get their hands on him. But he had a lot smaller role this year. He averaged 6 or 7 fewer points, and he never complained once. He was rewarded with the contract, but he never complained once. His 2 highest scoring games of the season in the conference finals and game 2 of the NBA finals.
Yeah, because he does it when it's needed and doesn't worry about not being the guy to get the shots up when it isn't needed. He's about winning. That's my point. And I keep hearing people refer to him as a role player. Here's my argument. All right, a role player. There are a lot of great role players in the NBA. Guy who he shoots threes, that's his role. Gets all the rebounds, that's his role. Lockdown defender, that's his role. You're not a role player to me if you do everything well, which he does. He's just an unsung star in the NBA. I voted for him All-NBA twice, and so far he's never made one of those teams, and I 100% believe he should.
He's a complete player. I mean, I think star is a great way to put it. He is a star, and that's the thing about this Boston team. When we talk about Jason Tatum struggling with efficiency from the field, he can do that because there are stars around him, Jrue Holiday being one of the biggest ones.
He was the perfect piece. That's why they went and got him. That's why he's doing so well. And I think for Jrue Holiday, he's a star in all of these roles because that's what they're asking him to do on any given night.
Right.
But if he was just tasked with the role of scoring, he could go get you 20 to 25 a night with ease with 7 or 8 assists. But he's tasked with the role of doing everything every night.
Yeah, again, I would vote for him for MVP of this series so far, and there's a long way to go. And we'll see what winds up happening. You mentioned Tatum. Very quickly, do you believe that the Celtics can continue to win if he doesn't start scoring more efficiently and just flat out more?
I do. I do think Boston can still win
Even
this
without
series.
Porzingis?
Well, Porzingis gives me a little bit of a pause, but they're still that good. Like, they have that much talent on the floor. They have that much depth. They have that much scoring power. We just talked about Jrue Holiday. He could be the one that steps up consistently with Kristaps Porzingis being limited. Jrue Holiday could step up and take on that scoring role. The biggest thing about Jason Tatum for me is he continues to create. They're down 1. He gets an and-1 finish at the rim. They're down 1 again. He gets an and-1 finish. He finds his teammates hunting the paint, getting to the restricted area, playing with his head up, and kicking the ball out. As long as he's playing aggressive and playing with confidence, Boston can win because they're that good.
Yeah, he's playing well. He's not playing badly. He's just not dominating the games offensively, and sometimes people just look at those numbers. We can put the picks up, Cindy, on the screen. Everyone here who is making picks likes Dallas tonight in a game they need. Windy covering this series, not making picks. Quickly, Windy, what is the single biggest factor in the game tonight? What's the number one element you're looking for?
Obviously, you got Kyrie Irving. He has got to step up and have a more impactful game. If he does that, it changes the entire paradigm for Dallas, especially without Porzingis, because if Porzingis isn't in there, the Celtics' enormous margin for error shrinks. Kyrie has got to capture that territory and lift Dallas up on their home court.
We'll see tonight, which sort of feels like the series hangs in the balance. Game 3 NBA Finals tonight in Dallas, 8:30 Eastern on ABC, ESPN Deportes, ESPN Plus, and ESPN Radio with the Celtics up 2-0. We'll tip our coverage with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern. And this is the overwhelming storyline this morning. The Celtics may be without their unicorn. Kristaps Porzingis listed as questionable with a lower left leg injury he suffered in the third quarter of Game 2. Here he was on the off day yesterday, and his coach, Joe Mazzulla.
Are you optimistic?
I am, of course. I have to be. I'm optimistic, and as I said, I will do everything I can to be out there tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see.
It's a serious injury, and at the end of the day, our team and the medical team is not going to put him in any bad situations. And so we've taken a decision to play out of his hands.
All right, the injury is a torn medial retinaculum, allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon. Because of course it is. It's a lot of words, Windy. It's a very complicated sounding injury. What actually is it, and what does it mean?
Well, it's a left ankle injury, Greeny, and this isn't even just a rare injury. It's almost unheard of in the NBA injury history books, believe it or not. I can only tell you what I could observe about this because there's nothing really to compare it to. One is that when this injury happens to people outside of sports, which even that is pretty rare, typically if it's severe, people have to be in a walking boot for a period of time. He was not in a walking boot yesterday. He had it taped up to a certain extent, but he was able to walk without a discernible limp. So take that for what it's worth. But I will also say that after he suffered this injury near the end of Game 2, he was significantly hobbled in that game, and he had to be taken out because his defense was really slipping, and Joe Mazzulla called timeout to take him off the court. I suspect that the Mavericks are as equally mystified as all of us by getting this injury report, and listing him questionable on the injury report itself, I think leaves the possibility he could play, but it would be surprising if he would be able to be the level he was in games 1 and 2 when he was an absolute difference-making player for the Celtics.